I know. I cocked up, so I did a quick bit of 5-minute research. I'm talented like that, you see. I just go, Google, blah, blah, blah. We're on France. So.
Mais oui!
Monsieur. With your research, you're doing so fine.
What was it? Edith, you stupid woman.
Ever said this only once? Oh, that's Germany, isn't it?
No, she's what's the name of the Resistance? Michelle of the Resistance. She used to say that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course it was, wasn't it? Yeah, that is French then.
Good evening, everybody, and good evening, everybody over on YouTube. And sorry, it's today. We're a bit busy tomorrow. We've got lots of things going on, and then I've got to do a ridiculous amount of driving on Saturday as well. So you got it tonight. Okay. So there's Mr. Wayne and myself, and last week's show went nuts. Absolutely went nuts. And thank you. I was really, really pleased with that. So many people watched last week's show. And I think it was from the messages I've had, it's been, when we just started talking absolutely our own thoughts about stuff that's going on, especially the Rainbow Brigade and things like that. And it's like people are like, oh, people can actually speak out and not be afraid. So, yeah. But anyway, we won't do the Rainbow Brigade tonight because we touched on that last week. So what we will do, however, one of the main things is I would like to talk about the American government under the Freedom of Information Act suddenly turning around and saying, yeah, we got crashed UFOs. What do you make of that?
A long time coming, personally.
Yeah, no, definitely. They should have said that ages ago. But what do you reckon will be next?
To be honest, I think apart from actually revealing the truth, I don't think there is much more they can do. Evening, Reg.
Yeah, no, I think the next thing now is to say, well, actually, Dr. Spock works in the White House and he makes burgers for the next president. So,
But the thing is that it's been going on for so long now. UFOs and aliens have been the talk of sort of like modern day society as well as back through history.
Yeah.
So, it's always been there in religious texts, in just about every religious book there is.
Renaissance paintings as well, haven't they?
Yeah, and it's for just about anything. Any religious books or texts, there is references to other beings. And I noticed one the other day, and it is correct in its originality, in its original form. God created the earth and everything else and so on and so forth. And then he said, let's create a being as seen in our image.
Yeah, I'll see what you're guessing at.
This was before it was changed. Make beings in our image, not my image. Yeah. So who's he talking to?
I always said there was a path. There's a pantheon of gods. Remember, isn't it? I've said the Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Indians. They've always had a pantheon of gods.
Exactly. Why would if God is a lone being, why would he say, let's make man in our image and not my image?
Well,
you wouldn't, would you?
When you look at the ancient Babylonians and they talk about Enki and all that lot, now there's a lot of, because there's been lots of truck about reptilians.
Yep.
Well, Enki was originally portrayed because he is the original creator god, but the boss of lots of other gods, and they're all portrayed as half reptilian. And when you look at their statues from ancient times, they've even got one of a reptilian female suckling a reptilian baby.
Lovely.
Well, I've never been to this planet and we don't know anything about aliens.
But they've got to do something at some point. They are going to have to just be honest and come out with it.
Well, it took them 3 years to admit that they've got crashed UFOs.
Yeah, but obviously with what else we're going to be discussing tonight, there is only, apart from whether the United States actually want to openly admit whether they're actually doing it, but covertly, because obviously the last time they did anything like that was Project Blue Book.
That's right.
which
And
they supposedly shut down. Which
they
only
they just kept it, changed it to a different name, changed the
changed
stuff.
it to a different name. Yeah. But there were 3 other countries that still had a UFO team designated specifically for the disclosure or the fact-finding mission side of UFOs, and that was France, England, and Denmark.
Yeah.
France, England, and Denmark shut theirs down.
Oh, Denmark did
because of budget cuts. They shut them down, and Nick Pope is one of those people from the British one.
That's right. Yeah.
That obviously comes out and says quite a bit about what he used to do. And the only one now that is still running and is public about it is the French one.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of sightings that they have over 50 years. I think there's something like 1,600 sightings over 50 years. And they're being openly honest about it. There are some there that are unexplained, but they are being honest about it.
I'm trying to... What are they called? Let me have a look. I'm just trying to see if I can find the name. The French Space Center headquarters is in Toulouse. I'm just trying to see what they call it. What do they call it? GEIPAN. GEIPAN.
Yeah.
It's a French acronym for the Study Group and Information of Non-Identified Aerospace Phenomenon.
Phenomenon. So, but yeah, I think it's going to get to a stage where the Americans are just going to have to say, look, we've BS'd you for way too long now. But saying that, I think it's Brian Pathamore, is it? Paranormal in America. Yeah. He asked a question, was it yesterday, about Area 51. Do you think they're still experimenting on UFOs, etc.? And I put on there that they probably did at some point, but the publicity that it got for being mysterious and sort of
last week, weren't we?
Under the radar sort of stuff. I think what they've done is they've kept the rumours going still.
Yeah. And moved it
so
quietly.
That most of the attention is on Area 51 and not the other places that they're doing the work on. So everything's probably now been moved from there to these other locations. But because Area 51 is all there, woo, my God, this is great stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody's heading there. And when you've got things like the Little Alien and other tourist attractions there, you're going to get more people go there. So that if they keep it up, they can do their work elsewhere without being looked into.
Well, it's the age-old trick, isn't it? Like, what's his hand? What's his hand doing? What's his hand doing? Whilst the other hand's moving everything away,
Yeah.
It's like, look at me, look at me, look at me.
And it's a good point there by saying that the left arm don't know what the right arm's doing.
Well, wasn't it? There were reports.
But in this case, they do.
Well, in America, there was all those reports of tunneling, wasn't there? And not just in one place, but in like a circular orbit of North America. And the tunneling had been going on for years, and now all of a sudden, the onus has been taken off that and been put on something else.
Yeah, but when you look at the site of Groom Lake, it's one big salt bed surrounded by mountains, and the actual base itself is positioned right next to one group of hills and mountains. So
hills mountains is supposed to have a landing bay built into it, isn't it?
Exactly.
So an opening.
If you've got, you can have a building with so many floors or so many layers underneath it, but if you've got the ability to tunnel into the mountainside, you've also got floors that can be undetected that are up over the ground. They're above ground level. So, Area 51 could be could have hundreds of miles of tunnels underneath it and so many laboratories, unless someone actually sort of opens up and says, right, okay, this is the schematics of the base. And it's a lot bigger than you think. And I don't think that'll ever happen. They may admit to things that they're doing there, but I don't think they'll breach security regulations and actually disclose how big the place really is. But we know for a fact that it's expanding every year.
Yeah, exactly. It is, and there's more and more things keep coming up on Google Maps. When you look at it, there's like flat tarmacy bits that wasn't there a few months ago, and big
runways appeared overnight.
And it's like what we're saying about all this with the government finally turning around saying, yeah, we got crash UFOs, and it's like the world has gone, we know, tell us something we don't.
Yeah, like we didn't already know that. It's stating the obvious, really, isn't it?
It would be nice if they were to turn around and say, actually.
Yeah, I think they've lied too long, and I think what they're trying to do is a bit of damage limitation.
Yeah.
They know they've been in the wrong by holding it back from people.
Yeah.
And I think it's just going to get to a stage where, they're going to have to suck eggs. They're just going to say, we're sorry, we didn't mean to lie to you. However, there are UFOs. But by that time, most people are, and it's like we were saying before, that they're waiting.
Door a minute. Just got to shut the door a minute because apparently I'm shouting now.
Hope everyone's well. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, no, I've got my daughter and granddaughter staying.
The
show. I'm shouting.
You're just getting to a stage where so many people now are going to be so more open-minded, whether it's been through TV, movies, or just the ability to read these things on the internet, that when the news just get broken, people are just going to get on with it as normal. They're going to go, yeah, whatever, and just carry on with daily life. It's just going to be no shock to anybody.
It'll be soften the blow.
Yeah, and it's like, I suppose in a way it's very similar to when they used to say about you look at H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds and Martians invading Earth, and it's speculated the old, is there life on Mars or was there life on Mars? And then people would say, or the scientists would say, no, there is no life on Mars because the atmosphere is too thin. There's not enough water on there. Then they discovered water. And they're gone, well, if there's water on Mars, there has to be life. You can't have hydrogen and oxygen molecules on a planet and not have life. So now they know there's the ability to have life. Then they discovered bacteria in fossils from Mars. So now they know there was life on Mars. But why did it die out? And so on. So as science progresses, so do the answers.
Did you ever read that CIA report I sent you of the what do they call them? Remote viewers. When they did the remote viewing experiments in the 70s.
Yeah.
I've got it's redacted. I've got a released CIA file, and it's all about one of the particular ones where the guy was talking about Mars. Wasn't given any details, just a set of coordinates, and told to focus on what he thinks those coordinates were. And it makes a fascinating reading because he said that he was seeing a place, but that this place was like 500,000 to 1 million years in the past. And he was seeing massive, big pyramids that were like solid. There weren't any lines in between the blocks or anything. These were solid and they were really cool beings, but their atmosphere was failing and they'd sent people out to go and search for another planet and this, that, and the other. If you can't find it, I'll send it to you again. But it was very, very interesting reading.
I mean, they now know that there was life on Mars. But who's to say there isn't still life on Mars? They've just got the technology to go underground. They didn't think there was any water on the moon, but now they've discovered there's water on the moon as well. But so, if they, and then it sort of it sort of goes against the rules of physics, because we all said that, everybody looked at the moon and went, it's just a ball of rock. But if it's just a ball of rock with no gravity on it, how come there are rocks on the ground?
Yeah.
Why aren't they just floating off into space? Why is there ice on the ground? Ice is made of is frozen water, H2O. Why hasn't that just shattered into thousands of pieces and disappeared off into space?
What do you make of these people who say it is the remnants or the shell of a space station that was originally put here to watch Earth?
I think they might have been watching too much Star Wars.
I think they may have been smoking something called Star Wars. I don't know, but that's one of the ones that have been floating around. And
Well, Death Star. Too much reefer you smoked. I don't know, because it's. I mean, they stand there and say, "Oh, we don't know what's on the dark side of the moon." Of course, we do.
Yes,
you know, we've sent satellites around the moon. This is what I said to you last week, wasn't it? About them 3 images. Could they have been mapping satellites that we put up there in the first place? It's only just that now we've got more and more powerful telescopes at home that we're able to see these things. Cameras have advanced so much now that you can actually pick out a crater and you can actually pick out individual rocks sitting in the bottom.
Isn't there, if I remember, my memory serves me right, there's some of the images from the other side of the moon. Isn't there a crater which has got some sort of tower in it?
They claim there is, but you know, it's the problem. And again, the problem we have nowadays is with technology. Now that we've got the ability to be able to doctor a photograph or a video and put something in there and then just slap it on the internet and go, look what we've got. And obviously in the paranormal field, we see it, and we say it so many times. The amount of photos that go out there and go, oh, look, I took this picture the other night, and there's the little girl from the film The Ring. Yeah. And you're like, oh, you know, go away, give up.
Those people that give us a lot of bad name.
And and you will get the gullible people that will believe it. And they'll go, oh, my God, and they'll start sharing it around. And then more gullible people get it and they share it. And the next minute, you know, that one picture has gone all over the world, been seen by thousands of people. This person's caught a real ghost on camera.
Next thing you know, people start shouting orbs.
Oh, God, yeah. So unless there is, you know, definitive proof that there is something on the dark side of the moon that we haven't encountered, and again, you'll get the conspiracy theorists turn around and say, oh yeah, but that's where Adolf Hitler is, because they've watched too many B movies, you know.
Oh yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah, it's supposed to be a base up there.
I think there's 2 of them, isn't there, where the Nazis end up on the moon or something.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be with us and 2 lots of aliens all living together up there, supposedly.
Yeah. So it does strike me a bit strange how that, you know, we'll send up thousands of satellites to go around the Earth, and we haven't sent one to go around the moon.
Yeah.
You know, no, there is no way we wouldn't have sent a satellite to our nearest satellite, the moon, and get that satellite to map it. We've done it with Mars. You know, we've sent satellites around Mars to have a look and map the surface of Mars so that we know for future reference where we can land spacecraft. Well, so why would we do it with Mars and not the moon?
The missing Apollo mission, wasn't it? Have you ever seen the video of that and the clip where they found that Chinese-looking alien woman? and you watch it and you're like, really? And it's supposedly the missing Apollo mission. I'm like,
yeah. I mean, it's. I don't know. I mean, it depends. You know how gullible people are. I think the more gullible people are, the more they're likely to believe silly facts. You know, things that people have just sort of brought up for the fun of it, rather than the real truth. And what is actually there? I mean, they pulled apart the face on Mars, didn't they? When the face on Mars was first pictured, everybody went, "Oh my God, that is really weird." But then over the years, that face deteriorated, and now it's near enough nothing. It's not recognisable hardly, and everybody's got, "Oh well, what's happened to it?" Well, it's called sand dunes. or over the years and due to impacts from meteors, dust storms, and things like that, the sand dunes have just moved. It's the same as our sand dunes here. When you get a sandstorm, the surface of them sand dunes will change shape.
Yeah.
And that's all that's happened. And then you get the idiots that go, "Oh, there's the Yeti of Mars." Where you see that mysterious Yeti go across the surface. You're like, yeah, seriously. It's pareidolia. Just get over it.
But
I think with that sort of situation, until there is a manned mission to Mars or there's more scientific research done on the surface of Mars, we are never going to know whether there is still life there or not. But if there's water there, there is bound to still be life, whether it's frozen or not, because we've still got microbes and bacteria that still live in ice on this planet. So there is a high chance that there is living things on Mars in that ice.
I don't see why there shouldn't be, but and then again, there might even be things that have gone underneath the underneath the sand. You never know. So.
Exactly. Well, not necessarily underneath the sand. It's a lot of Mars is a rocky surface, so there is a chance that they may have seen sort of the losing of the atmosphere, and and thinning down. So they've just thought to themselves, well, what else can we do? Let's get underground.
Well, it's like there's a lot of places on there where it looks like parts of building and this, that, and the other, but people forget that anything that's there is millions of years old, so there would be literally nothing left of any buildings or anything. So what people are seeing again is pareidolia for the majority of it.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, if I didn't want, if I was the leader of a civilization that had realised that our population's doomed and our planet is doomed or whatever, and I was going to go off elsewhere or we were going to go underground, I wouldn't want to leave any evidence on the surface to say we're here.
Yeah.
It'd be like leaving a calling card for someone. So they'd destroy it. They'd get rid of it.
So this French thing is this week's F. The last bit. No, is it beginning of it? It's the beginning of F, isn't it? France.
Right. Well, France is I don't know. I mean, I've never really been too keen on the French, but until I actually sort of researched into this a little bit, I thought hats off to them.
Tell me, okay. What about the French?
Yeah, right. Well, okay. 4 days ago, during a live news broadcast, let's see if I can get it right.
Yeah.
That little fella popped up on the screen.
I'm sure I've got that here somewhere. Let's have a look.
She's a bit ugly, isn't she? Look at that.
Yeah, I've got it.
Hello, this is the evening news.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, bonjour, monsieur. Tonight is the news. So that was seen screeching behind her while she was reading a live broadcast.
That's the best they've got on it so far. But
yeah. Where is it? Yeah, footage of alleged UFO incident has already reached nearly 10,000 views and spread quickly on social media. Self-proclaimed UFO expert Scott Waring described the incident. If you watch this RT News broadcast, you will notice two dark oval objects fly past. The objects seem to be flying so close that they're almost stacked one upon the other. Which
I thought it was one.
In a sense, yes, they do look like they're stacked one upon the other. However, if they're military jets flying in formation, depending on the angle of the camera, that could answer that question quite easily. He then continued, they're moving incredibly fast, which then sort of makes you start thinking. And he put it into slow motion at the end of the video to see them better. And honestly, it looks like aliens are trying to show up on the news.
Wow.
He said it resembled another alleged sighting when Obama was sworn in at the National Monument, where CNN was broadcasting, and they noticed an incredibly small and fast object shoot past behind them. And then he added, more and more newscasts are getting UFOs flying in the backgrounds, not by accident, but on purpose to expose the public to the truth slowly, which then reiterates the point we were making about whether they're going to do it. Maybe they're doing this in this sort of manner to slowly us, to get us to get used to these things being about.
Just looking at it. Oh, that was quick. Hang on. When you see it, it does look like two. Well, no, it looks like one thing with two sets of wings. And then when you look at it properly, it does look like two, just one above the other. But it's motoring. It's not hanging around.
Let's have a look.
It's going really fast.
Cool, bloody hell.
See what I mean? That's not hanging about whatsoever.
That's not a jet.
No, it's not. And there's no.
That's not a military. That's not a military jet. That moved way too fast.
Yeah.
There's
no trail or anything.
But I mean, if you, when you look at that footage straight after, Russia, bizarre object flies in background. So straight after that, it goes on to another news incident where they're talking to some Russian lady, and it happens again.
Just looking for the Russian one. Hang on.
Brexit expert discusses importance to UK. It's just gone off onto something else now. We don't want to talk about that. So yeah, it's.
They're making themselves known. That's another thing. Do you remember I said last week that there's been so many more UFO sightings since the lockdown? But I think a lot of it is because a lot more people have got time in their hands and they're paying more attention to the skies.
I think so. I mean, especially if you haven't got to go to work the following day because we're in lockdown. If you're a non-essential employee and you've been furloughed, you know full well that you might not have to get up the following morning. The lights go off the street lights go off at 1 o'clock at night in the morning as well, which makes things a little bit easier for you to see the stars if you're in a built-up area.
Yeah.
And so they may have decided to stay up. The amount of times I know of a lot of people that stay up when they know that the Starlink satellites are going to be flying over.
Hello, Taylor Beck.
Hey, hi, Taylor. So you get a lot of people stay up on purpose so they can watch out for the Starlink satellites. And unfortunately, at the moment, while they're still launching the satellites, a lot of people see them and they go, "Oh my God, what's that?" Like when Elon Musk started first with the SpaceX program, putting the rockets up there. When he was putting them up there at night, when they were hitting a certain level in the atmosphere, they were making funny patterns in the sky.
That's right.
And everybody all screamed UFOs then, didn't they?
That's I don't know if you remember last year, I put a video up of a UFO that we saw from our back garden, and there'd been two lights in the sky that night, but one was one of the SpaceX satellites going up.
Yeah.
Because we checked it all, and it was a SpaceX. But the second one, where it was in the sky and the heading it was doing, there was nothing in the sky at all. That should have been there. So, and I put it up on Facebook because everybody's like, "Ooh."
I mean, further on this, he said viewers remarked that it travelled about as fast as a fighter jet, but without the sonic boom. And in my opinion, that was faster.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It wasn't hanging around that.
Because it was coming from behind the camera and going straight behind her head and back the other side.
Let me see if I can find the link.
That got very small, very quick.
I'm just going to try and find the link, and then I'll put it in the chat room here for everybody to look at.
Yeah. Another link compared the shape of the flying object to a flying rod. One person joked that it was a Russian secret weapon, while one skeptic questioned whether the background was green screen.
Hang on, is that it? Just trying to... Nope, that's not it. That's definitely not it. Right.
Others suggested that it was simply two birds flying across together. two birds flying across the camera together at that speed.
To me, they were fast, weren't they?
One person wrote, if it was an aircraft, where's the sonic boom? At that speed, it would be impossible for an aircraft not to produce one. The fact that you see it continue on behind her lends credence to its speed and the fact that it wasn't a bird.
Right, let's have a look. Let's put that in the chat room. There you go.
Bing.
It'll take you to the video that we're talking about. Have a look at the video and you'll see the thing that the woman's talking and it goes from the top of her head down there and it goes gone. So for those of you who want to have a quick look, have a look.
And it's very interesting because that leads on to my next bit about Francais, which is pretty good. And that is about, as I suggested earlier on, about how Project Blue Book was supposedly disbanded, which there is a lot of speculation that they just changed the name and still fund it, leaving only France, the UK, and Denmark. UK and Denmark have since closed their UFO centres down. The UK and Denmark, sorry, and France has kept theirs running. And
have a listen, Taylor. It's all about, and I've got to do it quietly because Harper's asleep. Aliens. We're talking about aliens and the Americans admitting they've got crashed UFOs and the stuff that's been going on in France over the last few days. The new group, which I can't even find the name for it, but you mentioned it early on. The French
I can't
group.
find the name of it now.
It's down here somewhere. Hang on.
The French UFO Society, that'll do.
Gaipan.
Yeah.
Gaipan, the French UFO thing. Project Blue Book for France. Gaipan.
Yes, basically. And on, I think it was
Mimi Baby Bell.
22nd of March 2007, I would believe. Yeah. The French became the first country to open its files on UFOs. The National Space Agency unveiled a website documenting more than 1,600 sightings spanning 5 decades. Yeah. Online archives, which will be updated regularly, catalogues in minute detail cases ranging from easily dismissed to a handful that continue to perplex even hard-nosed scientists.
And that's what you remember. We were talking ages ago about what got us into the paranormal and unexplained and stuff. And it's with me, it's always been what was it Sherlock Holmes said? If you take away all of the, if you take everything away, no matter whatever's left, no matter how improbable, that's got to be the truth. Well, that's what it is for me. No matter, everything starts with a legend or a story, and each legend or story has to have that grain of truth in it, and it's that little grain that gets me going. So,
yeah. There's always going to be something there that will ask questions. So there's been a phalanx of beefy security guards formed a barrier in front of the Space Agency headquarters when the announcement was made, and that was to screen out uninvited ufologists. And of the 1,600 cases registered since 1954, nearly 25% are classified as Type D, meaning that despite good or very good data and credible witnesses, they are confronted with something that they couldn't explain. So that goes by what you said about Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
they've looked at all the data and they've analysed everything and they've gone, well, hang on, it can't be that, can't be this, can't be that. So you've just narrowed it right down.
Which is very good for the French, because normally if they can't eat it, then they don't want to know.
Well, normally when something like that happens, they run away, don't they? On the 8th of January 1981, outside the town of Trans-en-Provence in southern France, for example, a man working in a field reported hearing a strange whistling sound. That was just one of his co-workers further along the field.
Yeah.
And he saw a saucer-like object about 2.5 meters in diameter land in his field about 50 meters away. Stayed for a few seconds, then took off into a blue yonder without making a sound. When the Gaipan team went to investigate, they found burr marks in the soil, suggesting that the object weighed a couple of 100 kilos. And they've never been able to understand or explain that incident. Which, again, that would tie in with the similar incident that they had at Rendlesham Forest. The UFO came down, touched ground, and when it disappeared and it was all over, the following day they investigated it, and there were scorch marks in the ground where it had been sitting. Nearly 1,000 witnesses who said they saw flashing lights in the sky on November the 5th, 1990. So it could have been because of firework night, you know. You never know. A couple of expats over there with some fireworks. By contrast, had simply seen a rocket fragment falling back to Earth's atmosphere. But they don't have the least proof that extraterrestrials are behind the unexplained phenomena, nor do they have the least proof that they aren't.
Well, so I mean, that's what I said. More and more governments are coming out and saying this stuff's going on. The Italian government, they're very well. The Italian military, I should say, now they're on a par with the South American military. They're coming out and saying, yeah, this has happened, that's happened. And one of them, it was like their version of Italian special forces, was saying about how this UFO had zapped one of their helicopters, and he was showing all the pictures of the damage done to it. And you know, it was like, yeah, very matter of fact about it, you know.
Yep. And you've got the CNES, the Centre for something. It's basically the space agency's website. It fields about 50 to 100 UFO reports every year, and they're usually written up by police. Of those, 10% are the objects of site investigations. Other countries, notably Britain and the US, collect data more or less systematically about unidentified flying objects. In the US, information can be requested on a case-by-case basis under the Freedom of Information Act.
That's
how much of that is penned out is another thing.
I've seen the report of the released things where the American government said, yeah, we got crashed UFOs. There wasn't too much redacted. There was a bit, but it wasn't that much redacted from it.
But what the French have done is, rather than you have to put in a request to see that information on individual cases, they've just turned around and said that they decided to do it the other way round and made everything available to the public.
Yeah, because there's nothing to hide.
So every report that comes in, doesn't matter whether they're odd bods, alcoholics, or homeless people on the streets, to a vicar, a police inspector, an army general. It doesn't matter who they are. If they have reported a UFO sighting or a strange sighting, it ends up in that database if it's being investigated.
What you will, isn't it?
And it's down to the individuals. I think it's just. I think I found. Oh, I haven't all. Oh, wow! I've just ended up on the Gaipan website.
Go on,
it's a shame it's in French.
There should be a translate button at the top.
No, I've got English, and it's still come up in French. Oh, there we go. And it is funded, 100% funded by the French government.
See, why can't we have a government like that?
And I think that's what we need.
Yeah,
we need governments to be open. The Unidentified Aerospace Phenomena Task Force is a CNES, French Aerospace Agency service funded by the French government. Its mission is to collect reports of UFO or UAP, which I prefer that term now, UAP.
Really?
I hear UFOs and UAPs, and I prefer UAP to UFO.
It doesn't mean unidentified aerial penis. You know that, don't you?
No, but if I throw a stone, that doesn't mean it's an unidentified flying object, is it? Because I threw it. So it's not flying, is it? It didn't take off and fly of its own accord. I threw it. So I prefer UAPs that have occurred in over French territory to provide explanation when possible and to answer questions from the public. Gaipan addresses mainly the French population. Its staff is French freaking.
French.
Go figure. Its staff are French speaking and understands English.
Yeah.
So why not just English speaking? The Gaipan website is designed for French population, but it is of course open to all that can read French. It is not Gaipan's mission, nor does it have the means to address the whole worldwide population. However, Gaipan willingly accepts reports written in English when it concerns sighting over the French territory. An English questionnaire that will help us understand what you saw is available by clicking here. At some point during the investigation process, the witness is likely to need to read or understand some French. But the last report they posted was on the 20th of November, which obviously weren't that long ago.
I'm just looking at some of the latest UFO things that have happened, and there's an interesting one above a beach. Some sort of, it looks like a frisbee just hovering, orange frisbee. Let me have a quick look. And of course, it's going to take forever to show me. Of course, it would.
Right, by November 2020, a total of 2,905 published cases published in total on the site. That's a lot.
And when you consider the amount that they filtered through and said there's this amount left, which we cannot explain.
Yeah. Oh, hello. Videos of UFOs declassified by the Pentagon.
Ooh.
August the 20th last year. Monday the 11th of 2019, strange phenomenon observed in the sky. Many witnesses observed a luminous ball in the sky on the French mainland on Monday 11th of the 11th. The alerted our Centre of Expertise to Unidentified Aerospace Phenomena. So this Gaipan website that actually does show quite a lot of interesting information, to be honest, and it's easily accessible.
Do you want to put the web address up in the chat room here for people?
I'll ping it over to you because I'm not too sure how to get it up there.
If you're not sure how to get it up, I ain't telling you at your bloody age. Right. If you...
Oh, cheeky. Right, I'll ping the address over to you.
Let's have a look.
Because I'm still trying to figure out my tablet and it's just crashed on me for some reason.
Right, hang on.
Because my iPad, no, it's the iPad, it's the tablet. It keeps freaking out. It's because I haven't got me iPad, have I? Because my iPad's broken.
If that doesn't work, I will copy it from here. Hang on, let me copy it from here. Right, let's copy it from here and do it like that.
Blimey.
Right, so we'll get rid of that one. Okay, now we'll try this again. Let's post that. There you go. That is to the French.
Yeah, in the top right-hand corner, you have the option to have it in French or in English. So.
Oh yeah, the flags. Click on the Union Jack.
Yep. You got the flags in the top right-hand corner. If you click on the Union flag, it will give you it there. They reckon 3.5%. That's 101 cases, non-identifiable.
See, I've clicked on the flag and it's done nothing.
When I first went on the site, I clicked on the flag.
Yeah.
And it gave me the choice of it changed the section on the right under the news section. It came up in English. On the left, it stayed in French. But then I just had a little bubble come up underneath, that said English or French, gave me the choice, and it then changed the one on the left as well. So you got 3.5% unidentifiable.
Oh yeah.
34%, which was 956 cases, unexploitable. What that's supposed to mean, I'm not quite sure.
The first bit says about Gaipan. Yes,
yeah. I've clicked on the news section.
Yeah.
If you got about Gaipan, and then next to it is news. If you click on that, it gives you some of the more recent reports.
It's in French.
40.5%, which is 1,134 cases as of August 2019. There's probably identifiable. And parfaitement.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The French have got their own Project Bluebird that they've kept going, and they haven't turned around and said that every single thing is a weather balloon or a Chinese lantern. They've actually got quite a few cases where they've gone, me don't know.
Yep, they've got quite a lot there that they've turned around and said they haven't got a clue what they are. And the thing is, of the country the size of France, I know a lot of the towns and cities are quite spread out.
Well, they have a lot of territories overseas as well, don't they?
Yeah, and so there's a lot of movement there that it can sort of not be given away, because you drive, say, from Calais to France to Paris, and you will go through quite an expanse of farmland. You won't literally go out of one town into another, and then 2 miles down the road there's another town. It's more like you come out of one town, and 15, 20 miles down the road you'll come to another town. So
you've got expanses of clear skies with no light
pollution. Yeah. So you've got quite a lot of space there in which, if a UFO was to cruise past, there is a chance that not many people are likely to see it, depending on where it is. So for there to have that many cases, that I think is pretty good.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
Trying
to see if there's anything else to do with that. It's quite an interesting site, this, isn't it?
Yeah, and considering I've only, this is the first time I've actually seen it, I think it's quite good that they have made it available to the general public. I mean, I know obviously as we're in the UK, we would have quite a bit of difficulty actually putting anything in there, but it doesn't stop us from actually looking at what they've got.
And for anybody else who says about the Fs, Finland have had quite a few cases of UFOs, and it's normally out in the wilds. I'm just having a very swift look through, but yeah, Finland's had quite a few cases, and I think they've got their own UFO review board, a bit like the French as well, haven't they?
Well, there is a particular town in Finland where they managed to actually see the whole town saw them.
That's the one I'm looking at. I'm trying to find the name
of it.
When I can't speak, say something, that means I've found it.
Yeah. The problem is, it's all the one I'm looking at. It's all a load of pictures.
Yeah, that's the same there.
And it all seems to be sort of statements that people have given in regards to what they saw.
It just says some towns, this town, that town. It doesn't give a name, does it?
No. It doesn't really go into much detail.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're right.
Here we go. Finnish Air Force UFO sighting. That's the first one I come to, and that was in 1969.
A very good year.
That's not quite recent, though, is it?
No.
UFO movements in Finland. Weird autumn in Finland with UFOs in YouTube. UFO sightings inspired these era photos. There is a UFO sightings apparently are on the rise.
UFOfinland.net. www.ufofinland.net.
The problem is with the Finland being in the Arctic Circle.
Aurora Borealis.
Yeah. How much of that is the electromagnetic field? You know, the colours and the patterns can shift so quickly. It could be something to do with that.
I'm just going to put the link in there, so anybody's interested, go and have a look at it. The previous link was to the French UFO network, and that one's to the Finnish UFO network.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say I used to rate. What's the global UFO one?
MUFON.
I used to rate MUFON, but things that I've seen lately and reports from them, they've been spoken to.
I'm a bit undecided about MUFON, to be honest, because it seems to me that it's MUFON, and then all of a sudden you get MUFON UK and MUFON this and MUFON that. You're like, no, it's just one set system. Yeah. Just leave it at that. Don't start going about. It's almost like a club. You see it yourself with the bikers. You've got bikers clubs, and you have to wear your patch and all this and that. And then, if you're going to go elsewhere, go to another group, you've got to take that patch off and put a different patch on. And, it's just like, all right.
The American ones, the reports I've seen from them, they have gone right down in my estimation because they've all of a sudden started saying weather balloons, Chinese lanterns. And it's like, somebody's spoken to you.
It's either somebody's spoken to them or the wrong people are running it.
Yeah, there is that as well.
But I mean, in Finland, they've got two associations in Finland. And that's the Finnish UFO Research Association, FOFORA.
Yeah.
FOFORA. And UFO Finland.
Yeah.
And they receive some 300 reports between them, so 150 reports a year to each group, but they have the same situation as what they do with Gaipan. They're saying that most of them are saying that natural explanation is found for most of the causes. However, if you remain unsolved, some UFO enthusiasts believe that visits from aliens account for some of them. But the leader one of the bosses of one of the groups has said at this stage all options should be kept in mind and kept open.
And that's what it needs to be with all the bloody, all these governments, like the US government for years. No such thing as UFOs. No, we haven't got any crashed UFOs. Nope this, nope that, nope the other. And then all of a sudden, here's some videos of some UFOs. Oh, and by the way, we've got some crashed UFOs.
Yeah, and
really,
the problem is with that is it comes out with the conspiracy theories, doesn't it?
It does, but it also makes them. Can you trust them? Because they've lied to you for all this time, and then they've gone, actually.
Yeah, and we've got here several countries have lately published formally classified official data on UFO sightings. Similar data is also collected in Finland, where explanations made by officials are stored in the war archives. Why the war archives? Why would they be stored in there? Atso Hapanen has written a book on military sightings of UFOs in 1933 to 1979 on the basis of this data. UFO enthusiasts disagree on whether the military and especially the Air Force is in possession of any new material. They're saying this researcher from FOFORA, which oddly has got the name Bjorn Borg, I'm a bit confused with that one. That name rings a bell. I don't know why. But he's from Finland. And he says, I don't believe that the Air Force has any UFO maps. So I'm starting to wonder whether this Bjorn Borg guy is a bit of a joker.
Well, funnily enough, because it's almost the end of the show, I have literally just stumbled across something which is it's an interesting website, and I'll send you the link and you can have a look at it over the week and see what you want to bring it for next week. But just one of the headlines on this particular website. Grey alien footage by KGB leaked with a question mark. Yeah. So I'll leave that one where it is. Oh, and it's another one that says, is there aliens working for the US government?
Again, very similar to the remote viewing incident, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get the chance, watch Stephen King's Hearts in Atlantis.
Stephen King's Hearts in Atlantis.
Very good film about a guy that manages to escape the CIA and the remote viewing scheme. And he ends up moving into a house with a mother and her son. And it's a very, very good film.
Well, when the remote viewing was going on, there was, do you know that film? What was it? The Men Who Stared at Goats. Yeah, The Men Who Stared at Goats. It's got what's his name? He's a heartthrob. He was Batman. He was in ER.
George Clooney.
Yeah, it's got George Clooney in it, and it's a real thing because it was based on the people who did the remote viewing, and when at the same time the government was trying to get people who could do telekinesis, and it's all based on that. This link that I have found, I will send to you, Wayne.
Okay.
Have a look at some of this stuff is like really, but some of it's ooh. So make of it what you will, and I think we'll talk about that next week.
Yes.
Do you reckon? Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
So
we need to fit some G in there somewhere for next week. We did France and Finland this week, so we're on to G now. So any African folklore, monsters.
Giants.
Yeah.
A gas giant. Well, my missus asked. I don't know. Right. You right? What?
Yeah, she did hear you. You were heard.
I was talking about gas giants.
Yes. And you're talking about my rear end.
Your lower colon, yeah. So much gas comes out there. Surprised the US haven't tried to invade it.
Too much gas comes out of your fucking
I shall leave you all to it. And please note, we left COVID alone. We left the Rainbow Brigade alone.
Yeah, you just said it.
We left all the other lots alone for this week.
Yes, this week we left everybody a piece.
We will see who offends us in the week. And on that note, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for joining me on here as well. And thank you to everybody who listens over on YouTube. So we'll bring you more about this grey alien footage leaked by the KGB. Find out what that's about. So on that note, I should say goodbye and aliens, said very quietly. And it's over to you.
And toodle pip, tally bye, and see you next week.
And thank you very much, Taylor May. Good job, guys. Don't forget, Taylor and I will be on Sunday night, 9 p.m. with the Rearview Mirror Show. Exactly the same as this, but with more swearing. Right.
Arse.
Everybody.